Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening. My name is Mohd Shukri Hajinoor from the Faculty of Economics and Management, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, the National University of Malaysia. Today, we're going to study about the foundation of modern trade theory. Two theories we're going to study. Absolute Advantage by Adam Smith and Comparative Advantage by David Ricardo. Let's go. But first, I'm going to introduce to you what international economics is. So, international economics has two parts. They are not simply two parts. They are interrelated to each other. The first part and the second part influence one another. So, that will take us into today, chapter 2, until chapter 8. We're going to study the movement of goods across national border. And when we get into chapter 9 only, we're going to look at from different angle, not the goods that move across the border. It is the factor of production, or factors of production that moves across national border. And then the first part, movement of goods or factors of production will have an impact on the monetary side of it. So we're going to study the monetary aspects of international trade that takes us into chapter 10 until 15, especially chapter 13, currency depreciation, decrease in value, or appreciation, increases in value, will improve or worsen a nation's trade position through its impact on relative price. Very important here. Incomes, purchasing power, or money balance, while on the other hand, a nation's trade position will have an impact on its currency's value. That's international economics. Two parts, interrelated, connected, influencing one another. Now, let's discuss the concept. In this second chapter, we're going to study the classical trade theory by Adam Smith and by Ricardo, the two important figures within the classical trade theory. So that model can be represented by 2 by 2 by 1. Two countries, two products, and one factor. Model is simplification of reality. So it's not real, right? But we have to do something to make it simple, so that's what we call a model. So it comes from the concept of scarcity of resources, and then because of that, there is opportunity cost. So what is opportunity cost? In order to increase the output of one product, because of limited resources, scarcities of resources, you have to decrease the output of the other product. So you can have both, right? So full potential of production only will be realized with any combination of product X and product Y, the two products that they assume, on the production possibility frontier, that line, any combination of X and Y, X and Y, any combination will be fully, reaching full potential of production when all resources are utilized in the most efficient manner. And that we can find that combination of any combination of X and Y production dotted at one line that we can connect together. That's what we call the production possibilities frontier. That frontier is possible within, not possible outside of that frontier because of the limited resources that we assume. And then, that slope of that production possibility frontier, we call it marginal rate of transformation. That slope is actually the opportunity cost. So the concept of trade within the classical, and we continue that to neoclassical, the basic concept is A country will specialize in production of goods that it has the least opportunity cost, and it imports product on the other hand, of which that products has high opportunity cost for that country to produce by itself. So they trade. That's the concept. So with this model 2 by 2 by 1, the production possibility frontier is a straight line. So as a result, there's a constant rate of change in amounts of X that that country add when it specializes and trade, add more X. The reduction in Y that it can produce, that reduction, that rate is constant. Same rate all the time. So the slope of PPF determines specialization and thus the pattern of trade in the world, which is which country export and which country imports what products. So the lower the slope of PPF, lower opportunity cost in production of X, and the country should specialize in X. And also there's a complete specialization, this model of 2 by 2 by 1. A country A produces maximum of X and produces no Y at all, while the other is opposite for the other country. So we have two figures here. Adam Smith absolute advantage. One country must have absolute advantage in a product, while the other country has absolute advantage in another product for trade to occur. Trade will not occur if country A has absolute advantage in both products, X and Y. So that trade will not occur, according to Smith. At least one country must be having absolute advantage product X. The other country must have absolute advantage in the other product, which is product Y. If country A has absolute advantage in both products, X and Y, no need for country A to trade with anyone because that country A has absolute advantage in all the products. However, come Ricardo, hey Smith, I agree with you partly. I'm going to show you that even though country A has absolute advantage in both products, trade still will occur because it's not the absolute advantage that we should be looking at here, but rather it is the comparative advantage, the relative comparative advantage between the two countries in the production of the goods. So trade still occur even if one country has absolute advantage in both products because countries specialize based on comparative advantage. So that's page number 1. Next page, neoclassical. This is we're going to study in chapter 3, next chapter, but we're going to introduce that here at the end of chapter 2, but we don't call it Hexaolin yet because Hexaolin is coming up in chapter 3 because Hexaolin, using the neoclassical, we call it the factor proportion or factor endowment theory because this specialization, of course, based on comparative advantage as revealed or taught by the endowment of factor. If a country has more labor, that country must specialize in labor-intensive products. If that country is abundant, that's why factor endowment, abundant with capital, that country should specialize in the product of capital-intensive products. So here, the difference here is 2 by 2 by 2. Two products, or two countries, two products, and two factors. Previously, 2 by 2 by 1. Only one factor, labor. Now, two factors, capital and labor. So, same as classical, based on scarcity of resources, opportunity cost, and same as in classical food production on the line of PPF. 2x2 model is a bowing out curve. It's not a straight line, so increasing rate of change in the amounts of Y that country must give up in terms of production when that country increases one amount of unit of X. So the slope of PPF is not constant. The slope, because of that line, bowing out line, so the slope depends on which specific location on that line that you draw the tangent line. So up here, less steep, but if you go down to the right, steeper. So it varies with the specific point of the PPF because it's not a straight line. Movement to the right along the PPF produce more X, lesser of Y. The MRT or opportunity cost gets higher. So this 2x2 model is an increasing opportunity cost model. Here, the difference. In the first model, the straight line, the 2x1, it's a complete specialization over here, producing a maximum of X, but no Y at all. But here, partial specialization. Country A produces more of X, specialized, but smaller amount of, reduced amount of Y, while the opposite for country B, partial. They produce combination of good X and good Y. More X for country A, specialized in the X. More Y for country B, which specializes in product Y. Later, this theory of this the increasing cost theory, later in chapter 3, expanded by Heckscher-Ohlin with the factor proportion or factor endowment theory. Specialization based on comparative advantage derived from factor endowment, as I mentioned earlier. So let's begin. This is our chapter, historical production profitability under constant cost condition, constant, 2x1, and dynamic gains, changing comparative advantage. Comparative advantage is not static, it's going to change over time. And then the second part of this chapter, 2x2. So, and then we're going to discuss the impact on jobs, comparative advantage, yes, extended to many products and countries, because our model is only 2 countries, 2 products. How real it is? We know that in the world, not only 2 countries, hundreds of countries. In the world also, not only 2 products, X and Y, thousands of products. So, extended to many products and countries. And now, we're going to discuss about factor, mobility, and empirical evidence of comparative advantage, the case for free trade, comparative advantage, and global supply chain. The basic theory, the basic core theory of trade theory, the core theory of trade theory is free trade is good. Let me repeat, very important. Free trade is good. Good for every country that's involved in international trade, and by extension, it's going to be good for the whole world. That's a very important concept. Free trade is good. Anything that goes away from that principle of free trade. What is free trade? Trade without restrictions. Free flow of trade. It's not free that you don't have to pay money. Free meaning, it means that no restriction. One good from this country can go to another country, can flow, can cross the border easily, no restriction. So that's free trade is good. Other than that, it's not gonna be good. Why do nations export and import? What terms of trade are products exchanged in our market and gains from international trade? So production gain and consumption gain. So before the modern trade theory, before Adam Smith, That was mercantilist. Mercantilist is sort of like the wrong teaching of trade. So we don't consider it trade theory at all. So mercantilists promoted favorable trade balances by encouraging exports only, but not encouraging imports. That's not gonna work in the world. The world can only export and import. That's free trade that we're gonna study, not the mercantilist. So sought rise in domestic output and employment. That's the objective, to increase output and employment. Mercantilist idea, the government must put some kind of policy that restrict import, encourage import, restricts import. Regulations, tariff, quotas, and other commercial policies. They're using a static view of the world economy. The world's wealth was fixed. One nation's gain from trade came at the expense of its trading nation partners, and not all nations could simultaneously enjoy the benefits of international trade as a result of mercantilism. So mercantilist mercantilism was bad. So criticism of mercantilism, David Hume's price specie flow doctrine. A favorable trade balance is possible only in the short run. Over time, that trade surplus will be eliminated. So when there's a trade surplus, there's inflow of gold and silver coming to that country. Inflow of gold and silver means increase in money supply. So this will increase the price level in the country. When the price level is increased in that country, products become more expensive. Residents want to purchase imports. At the same time, that country cannot export because the products became more expensive. So as a result, trade surplus eliminated. So here comes Adam Smith. You know, Adam Smith is known as the father of modern economics. With this publication, 1776, Wealth of Nations, Classical Economists, Founder of Modern Economics, Modern International Trade Theory. So, leading advocate of free trade, trade without restrictions, as I mentioned earlier, free flows of goods, country specialization based on absolute advantage. Because the world's wealth is not a fixed quantity, international trade permits nations to take advantage of specialization and the division of labor that increase the general level of productivity within a country, as well as increase world output, world wealth. So the assumption is production costs differ among nations due to different productivities of factor of inputs. Here, factor of inputs 2 by 2 by 1, only one factor, which is assumed to be labor only. So countries that use less labor to produce 1 unit of output has that absolute advantage. The lower the number of labor that a country must use to produce a product, that country has an absolute advantage. So there's labor theory of value, assumes within a nation, labor is the only factor and is homogeneous of one quality, and as a result, the cost of goods depends exclusively on the amount of labor required to produce that product. So the less number of labor required to produce that product, that country has absolute advantage in that product. Two nation, two product, one factor world. Each nation produces goods absolutely more efficiently than trading partner. With trade and specialization, countries export goods which it has absolute cost advantage. That country will import goods which that country has cost disadvantage. So let's look at here. Here, output per labor hour. United States, UK, wine, clothes, Look here, United States can produce 1 labor hour, 5 bottles of wine, 20 yards of clothes, compared with United Kingdom, 15, 10. Look at here clearly, United States is more efficient, less cost producer than United Kingdom, meaning lower opportunity cost in clothing production. 20 yards compared with the UK, only 10 yards. So United States has absolute advantage in production of cloth, while on the other hand, the UK has absolute advantage on the other product, wine, because 2 by 2 by 1, that's our model. So, and next come David Ricardo, emphasizes relative cost differences based on opportunity cost also. This is the basis for trade. Here comes Adam Smith, the one that I mentioned earlier, Ricardo. According to Adam Smith, if country A has absolute advantage in both products X and Y, trade will not occur because country A does not need anyone. Country A is efficient in both products, doesn't need anyone for trade. So according to Smith, trade is not going to happen. But here comes Ricardo. Yes, trade is still going to happen. Why? Possible even if a nation has an absolute cost disadvantage in the production of both goods, because the more efficient nation will specialize and export goods in which it is relatively more efficient, or where its absolute advantage is greater. The less efficient nation will specialize and export goods in which it's relatively less inefficient, or where its absolute advantage is least. So, not much here. This is just so Ricardo. He's a leading economist in the early 1800s, theories of classical economics, economic freedom through free trade and competition, successful businessman, financier, speculator, stockbroker, loan broker. 1819-23, British Parliament, he advocated the repeal of the Corn Law, for no barrier trade. Along with Smith, Ricardo is a classical trade theorist, interest in economics. He read Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. He wrote newspaper articles on economic questions. In 1817, the principle of political economy and taxation. This is the basis for comparative advantage. Advocates free trade, opponent of protectionism. So, assumption of Ricardo. World consists of 2 nations, 2 goods, 1 factor. Labor, fully employed, homogeneous, of same quality as the sole input, 2 by 2 by 1. Labor can move freely only within a country, not outside, crossing to another country. Technology is fixed for both nations, and all firms within nation utilize common production methods. Costs do not vary with levels of production and proportional to labor use. Perfect competition prevails. In all markets, firms are price takers, products are identical, free trade occurs between nations, and no barriers to trade. Transportation costs are assumed to be zero. Consumers don't care whether to buy from locally or from another country. Firms make production decisions to maximize profits, consumers to maximize satisfaction. No money illusion. Consumers and firms take account of all prices in their decisions. Trade is balanced, implying no money flows between nations. So here come the comparative advantage. Here, look at here, the one that I was talking, that Smith would say no trade. Trade is not going to happen because United States is more efficient in both. In wine, 40 bottles compared with United Kingdom. In clothes also, 40 compared with. So according to Smith, Adam Smith, trade is not going to happen because the United States does not need the UK because the United States is efficient in both goods. But comes Ricardo, hey Smith, you're slightly wrong. I'm going to show you that trade is going to happen. How? Because it's not the absolute advantage that we're comparing. Here, the comparative advantage that we're looking at. So here, look at this. For the United States, 40 divided by 22, right? So in terms of wine production, the United States has advantage of two times only. Here, with cloth, 40 divided by 10, 4 times. United States is 4 times more efficient than United Kingdom in cloth. 4 times. Here, United States has 2 times only more efficient than UK. So, as a result, 2 times here, 4 times here. United States is more and more efficient in cloth. So, the United States will, according to Ricardo, which is comparative advantage, will specialize in cloth. While on the other hand, we have a model of 2 by 2 by 1, the other product, and the other country. United Kingdom will specialize in wine. You see? So, production possibility frontiers, that line, various alternative combination of 2 goods in a nation can produce when all factors inputs are used. Maximum possible possibilities of a nation given land, capital, and so on. Quickly. That slope of that line, PPF line, is MRT, which is the change in wheat, X, relative to the change in autos, Y. So, the amount of products a nation must sacrifice to obtain an additional unit of another good. Rate of sacrifice, that's opportunity cost. This is the basis for specialization and trade as a result. MRT equals the absolute value of slope of production possibility frontier in figure 2.1. This is PPF. PPF for country, United States. This is PPF for Canada. PPF. Production possibility frontier. It says that we can have combination of here, somewhere here, this point. But it's not fully using the resources. So, can produce more and more. So, here, more and more. So, it ends up here. Every little combination, X and Y, X and Y, X and Y, every combination, 1,000, I don't know how many thousand of combination, we can draw that line. This is the line of production possibilities. What is possibilities? Combination of X and Y. Production possibilities, frontier, the border. Possible inside, but not maximum. Here is only maximum. Not possible outside. The same thing with Canada, PPF. Not possible outside. So with constant opportunity cost, constant, because a straight line and the slope is a constant, a nation will specialize in the product of its comparative advantage. The principle of comparative advantage implies that with specialization and free trade, a nation enjoys production gains and consumption gains. A nation's trade triangle denotes, I'm going to show you later on. This is going far already, so let's discuss first. With this is country A, United States, less steep, meaning the opportunity cost for increasing, producing more autos is less in the United States. Compared with this in Canada, so steep. To increase more production of auto involves lots of reduction in the production of wheat. Stop here. Let's start with this combination. So to increase more, this is the combination for. So 40 in terms of reduction that Canada must make in the production of the other product. That's the sacrifice, the rate of sacrifice, we call it MRT. 40, right? Just 20, increase by 20. Auto must reduce by 20. Let's look at the states. Increase by 20. Let's take somewhere here. Increase by 20. Same, 20. 20. So reduce by maybe 10 only. Yes, 10 only. 20, increase by 20. Combination here. Reduce by from 40 to 30. Only 10. Here, increase by 20. Previously, it was 80. 40 decrease. So, see, large amount of sacrifice of the other product that that country can produce, that signifies the high opportunity cost in producing X auto here. So as a result, for Canada, Canada better specialize in wheat. United States specialize in auto. So now, when they understand that, yes, the MRT is only 0.5. This is the rate. MRT. How? The rate of the slope? The slope is actually how much you jump over divided by how long, how far you run. So 60 over 120, so 0.5. Let's compare here. 160 over 80. Of course, this is the rate. 2. So you can see already, MRT is 0.5, very low opportunity cost in production of auto in America, compared with 0, this is 0.5, this is 2, higher. The cost of, opportunity cost of producing auto in Canada is higher. So that's why Canada specializes in wheat, United States specialize in auto. So now they trade with each other. So let's assume A is the initial point for United States, combination of 40 auto and 40 wheat produced. Now we know that United States specialize in auto, complete specialization, all the way increase auto until to this point. To this point here, produce 120 auto and 0 wheat. Still, this is still on the production possibility frontier on PPF. So from this point, we can build a trade line. This is a trading line, international trade line. So on that, any place on this line, international trade line, we can put the consumption point. Let's suppose here, consumption point. So what it is, we trading. This is now the beauty of international trade. Previously, in autarky, what does it mean? Autarky, no trade. No trade is this point. If no trading, if I'm an autarky person, we're not going to have a class today. You know, I'm not going to have a, recording today because I'm going to be late because I need my clothes. I go get the, do it by myself. I need to eat rice. I go in the back of my house to get rice. And I need the water. I go dig because I don't buy it from anyone. I'm an autarkic person. So looks like I'm not going to be here. No one can live in autarky. So that's, autarky point here. No trade. In autarky, whatever combination, what that country produces is what that country can consume. So United States, at this point of A, autarky, can produce or produces 40 auto and 40 wheat. As a result, United States can only consume 40 autos and 40 wheats only. Limited to that. Now, the beauty of trade. See, previously, United States can consume only 40 wheat. Now we trade. You know that this is production possibility frontier. Anything outside is not possible. Frontier, border. See, previously 40 wheat only Americans can consume. Now, 60 wheat. This is the beauty of trade. That you specialize, you produce what you are efficient in. This is auto. To this point, from this point, there's a trading line, international trade line. You can have the consumption point here. You consume more than previously, 40, now 60. Of course, you increase your auto from 40 to 120 and produce no wheat at all, zero wheat. You specialize completely. That's what we call complete specialization. Opposite is for Canada. Canada is less efficient in auto, is more efficient in wheat. Canada should specialize in wheat. So from this initial point, Canada will increase the production from 80 to 160. As a result, this point, no auto at all produced by Canada. So this is the production point for Canada. And from that point, we can build the same the same slope. This is actually one and the same line. This is the international trade line. Just because we draw two graphs, there's two lines. No, they are the same line, same slope. So we can have a point of consumption here. Let's look at. Previously, Canada can only consume, again, let's take autarky. What is autarky? I'm repeating. In autarky, what you produce is what you can consume. You cannot consume more than what you produce. Autarky, you're not trading with anyone. But this is now the beauty of trade. Previously, Canada consumed only 40 auto. Now, Canada can consume 60 auto. Of course, Canada produce more of wheat and zero auto, buying auto from United States. So, as a result, we can see now, I already read about the triangle. Yeah, where's that triangle? Actually, the triangle, look at this here. Let's look at the amount of export and import for a country. Specialization here, but consume here. So, United States produce 120 auto, but consume only 60. The other 60 is export. Export to Canada, somewhere here. What about wheat? United States consume 60, but United States produce zero. So this 60 is import from Canada. So this is the triangle, trade triangle. This is it. Exports by United States of automobile to Canada, imports from United States. United States imports of wheat from Canada. So this is the trade triangle, combining the new line, which is trading line, international trade line. This, when you trade, you know, this disappear. This disappear. This is the line prevailing when there's international trade. So this the slope, which is 1 to 1, and export and import. Canada. Canada specializes in wheat. Canada produce 160 wheat, but only consume 100. So this 60 is export of Canada, of wheat, which is here, amount of import by America. Same time, Canada consumes 60 of automobile, but Canada produces nothing, no automobile. So this 60 must come from imports from United States.